Hello guys and girls and welcome back. Today I'm going to be re-explaining Trend Tracker 1, since I've had a lot of comments of my handwriting in previous videos. But it's okay, so now I typed it out. So let's get started into this. So, what do we have? We have a common.cpp, or our common.txt, which contains all the word lists that we have. We have our main.cpp, our test cases. Our TrendTracker.h, which contains the functions that we're going to be implementing, and the runtimes that we need. So, what are most of the common runtimes that we're going to be using? Well, we're going to be O of 1, meaning constant, O of n, and n in this case represents the number of hashtags you have in your entries. And there's another one which is O of n, k. So k representing the number of how many trends you want. So, we first need to understand our code. So we have this class entry that contains a string and a pop. It's inside a vector called E. Now, you might be asking yourself, I've never used vectors before. I've only used static arrays, dynamic arrays. Well, these are some of the commands that you're going to be using. So it's going to be e of x.hashtag or e of x.pop based on popularity. There might be other functions, or I might just be wrong on this. But that's some of the things that you're going to be implementing. Now, there are also other methods that you might be needing, and pushing requires a special syntax, making it, some students use pair to have a hashtag and a pop. So let me show you that real quick, how it looks. So, I have a string and an in pop. That's mostly just it. So I call my vector e of x dot pop, unless it's something else. I think it's let me write it down because I might be wrong with the syntax here since I haven't worked with this. So let's see if I can draw. You might need to use an arrow. That might be a thing that I'm avoiding. Such as, you might be using... Where's my pen? Okay, the pen doesn't work. Oh, that's so sad. You might be using an arrow. That's it, that points to pop. Let me double check this at the top of my head. Nope, I'm right. Okay, you use this one. I just wasted a couple minutes. So, constructor. You can do whatever you want with the constructor. I don't mind, as long as it runs in O of 1. You can reinitialize the entry, make it empty. You never know, it might contain something. Now, inserting. So, inserting is quite simple. What I recommend is for you to use a for loop and a Boolean statement. So you're going to be having a Boolean variable called, I don't know, you can call it whatever, but it's to keep track that you haven't gone over this word. Or you can just return or something like that. Now, inside this for loop, it's going to be running in O of n. So what are you going to be using? Well, we're going to be using the vector size. And our condition is going to be, hey, does this vector contain, this vector at this index with the hashtag contain HT? Because HT is the hashtag we want to insert. If it doesn't, we add it. If it does exist, we have to exit the function. We have to, return, because in C++ you do return semicolon. Now, in the case that it doesn't exist, we'll have to make a pair. We would have to make an entry variable where HT needs to be the hashtag in that entry variable, and we have to modify the pop to 0. And then you can insert it however you want. Size, same process. Look at your C++ standard library. You just return the array size. You guys have done this before. Tweeted. It runs in O of n. What do we need? We need to increment the hashtag, the pop, because every entry has a hashtag and a pop, so we want to increment the pop. So what are some steps that we're going to be doing? Well, just loop through the array or vector, and let's say you find HT inside the vector. You're just going to get that vector's index and increment the pop size by 1. Next is popularity. It runs in O of n. What do we need? We're searching for a hashtag, and we want to return its popularity. You guys have done this several times. It's the same process as inserting. It's the same process that's tweeted. You're going to be looping, because e.size is the size of the array. Now, the string you're given in the parameters is called name, so you're just going to be looking for that hashtag and return the pop. If it doesn't exist, return -1. Now, top trends, fairly simple. It checks here that if no hashtags exist, return empty string. So you would just check if the vector's empty by checking the size or checking if it's .empties. You can read the vector's documentation whenever you can. It's in the C++ documentations. And we need to initialize an entry to keep track of our first element in that vector. Then we would have to iterate through it. So loop through the vector and keep track of the entry's largest popularity. So you would check like, hey, I have this entry that has this pop. And I'm comparing this pop with the current element in the vector and checking which one's bigger, which one's smaller. And once the loop ends, you would just return the popularity. Now, top 3 trends. It runs in O of n. What do we need? Well, first check if your vector isn't empty. Go get our first entry, which is, the first element of your vector, and loop through the vector. I'm not going to say that there's a specific way to solve this. There's multiple ways to solve this. But you can loop through a vector, and in some cases, I've seen students do 3 if statements, saying like, hey, if the popularity of the first vector is smaller than the current popularity, swap. And then they will continue on with an else if, checking the second entry, and then the third one. It is quite optimal. It's fairly simple implementation, but there's other methods to implement it, such as, let's see here. You can do 3 for loops that aren't aligned with each other. So, such as, let's say I have a for loop here, and it ends here. Yeah, I don't have my drawing tablet. It doesn't work right now. And then another one here for end. And then another one here for end. So for represents the initialization of the for loop, and end just means the end. So let's say this first for loop is in charge of keeping track of the first hashtag, the biggest one. And then I'll keep track of it by saying, hey, this is the largest entry I have. Now I go on to the second one. I'll have a if statement or a Boolean condition stating, hey, I have this element, this first element, this hashtag, and I don't want this hashtag to be equal to the current one. Because I know this one's the largest, I'm looking for the second largest. So you're just going to be keeping track of like, hey, this entry I'm having here, I already have it. I don't need to keep track of it anymore, so please ignore it. And in your third one, you're going to add the same condition, but including the second entry. Does that kind of make sense for the people here?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Alright, good to know that it makes sense. If you're doing some other implementations, you might want to consider swapping. It's a optimal function that you can learn. I had an idea if anyone can implement this. Let's say we make copies of every... Let's say we make 3 copies of our entries. And I call the function top trends. Each time I call top trends, it gives me the hashtag. So, let's say it gives me the hashtag, and I store that first copy that I use. Okay, okay, it's a new idea that came up. It might be cool, but I'm not sure. You're still gonna implement 3 for loops, but the code looks clean. Let's say I call top 3 trends, keep track of that, whatever top tree returns to me, because you're passing in a copy of that entry, of that vector you created. Now let's say I call it again on another copy, but in this time, I need to take out that entry that was first, the biggest entry, and it'll return me the second biggest. Now let's do another copy. I have the third copy. You're going to be removing the first entry and the second entry on the third copy. It's a little bit confusing, but it's a little bit cool to implement in a way. Alright, I hope I'm not taking too much time. Let's say 12 minutes. That's good. The remove function runs in O of n. So, as I was explaining in top 3, you're going to kind of be doing this with the function I see as cool. So you loop through the vector, check if the hashtag exists, and delete the vector you find. So you can look at the vector standard libraries and say, hey, I want to use this .erase. Please make sure it runs in O of n. That's all I ask. You can also do a swapping method to, swap the index that you found, the current index you found, and swap it with the last element to pop it. So, basically, you're going to be swapping, let's say I am in this index, and let's say I found HT. Well, I want to remove it, so let's say this this is just T, which is the end. I would swap to the last element, which in some cases is e.size minus 1. And then I would just, they swap places, so this is now T. This is now HT. And you just pop it. Fairly simple. Now, top K trends. It runs in O of n times K. Now, as I was explaining earlier, what is K? K is a nested for loop. So, I forgot to mention, whenever you're doing these top trends, always remember to do a t.clear, so you don't have anything inside it already. But because the parameter they passed is a vector string of t. So just make sure that t vector is cleared. Alright, so you can do several things. You need to do is check that E isn't empty. If it is empty, just return. And then we check if K is greater than the vector array. If K, because K is the size you want to look for, the top 100 trend, let's say, and I want to look for these guys. But let's say I only have 50. So I need to change K to be equal to the size of my vector. Now, let's begin with the, basics. Now, n times K, whenever you hear that, just remember that you're going to be implementing a nested for loop in some cases. If not, then you're doing some other algorithm that I might not know. So first, create the outer nested for loop, outer for loop, to iterate through k, and inside it you're gonna have a let's see. You can keep track of the index that you're currently at by setting max index equal to I. You can do that. And your inner for loop is gonna have. I'm not gonna explain the Boolean logic behind it, but you're gonna iterate through the next position of I. Because let's say you don't want to compare the same things. So let's see here. Let me give you an example here, just so I don't have to make these long. Let's say 1, 15, 2, 5, 20, 21, 69, and then 4. Yeah, sorry about that. 69. So we start at k. And let's say k equals to 0. So, no wait. Let's say I start at I. Because k... Oh, I can put k because k is the current... Let's say, let's put c. C represents the current index I'm at on my outer for loop. So this is k. And I wanna, when I'm in k, I wanna iterate through these guys. So, what I would do is make another variable of the inner for loop is gonna have, let's say, what's a good variable name? Inner, I guess. I'm just gonna do I, and let's set it to C. Let's set it to C. Why C? Well, because we don't want to match with the same value. So we're going to do C plus 1 so we can get to this one. C plus 1. I think this could work. I'm not very sure. Let me double check here. I mean, it can work. It just depends on what you're doing. Because I've done it differently, just that I can't find my notes. Now, let's say I'm iterating through 2. 2 is not greater than 15, so I do nothing. Then I go to the next one. 15 is greater than 5. And then there's 15 greater than 20. And then there's 21. So basically, I keep track that this one is my current biggest one. So it's 20. You can swap it if you want, but I'm just going to keep track that this is the biggest one. Then my next biggest one is going to be 21. So I just remove this one and put 21. So I'm here. So 21, 69. So I remove this one. It's going to be 69 now. And there's 4. And 4 doesn't do anything to us. So, what we're going to say here... Also, be careful with this, because you can get out of bounds with this, so... That's why, in some cases, it's not optimal. You can just iterate through it if you want. I just can't find my notes for it. So... Let's see here. Let's see if this student... I mean... I don't know if this will cause an error. That's why... Because you can always go out of bounds. But you always... Okay. That's why we... Because sometimes you can go out of bounds, but I think this condition is good. So let's... Now... K increments to 1. 1 starts here, and we check 5. We don't care about this anymore because we already... Wait. Do I care about it? That is true. Do I care about it? Oh, it's because some people swap it. Yeah, I do care. Yes. You see, there's different methods, and I'm looking at a bunch of code from my notes and all that. So, let me explain this. You know, iterate through here, iterate through here. Oh, I found this guy that's bigger. Swap these guys. Now this guy's, now this is 20. And then I continue to iterate. So this is 20. I iterate to 21. I swap these guys. Then 21 here. So it's 21, 2, 5, 15, and then 20. And then 69. 69's bigger than 21, so I swap these two. And there we go. So our current one is going to look like this. So 69, 2, 5, 15, 20, 21, and then 4. And you'll do the same process, but this time you're going to be in 2. So 2 is going to swap with 5. 5 is going to swap with 15. 15 is going to swap with 20. 20 is going to swap with 21. So it's going to look like this. So I'm going as fast, so it's so 21, and then this is going to be a 2, 5, 20, right? No, I'm missing 15, I think. I hope you guys understand the message I'm trying to send. So I hope Dr. Schuller's not watching these again, because I got criticized last time for improper information. And 20. And let's say 21's here, and I go to the next one. So 2 is greater than 5. They swap. 5 is greater than 15. So this 15. Okay, wait. Let's do this clearly now. So this swap, this turns into a 5, this turns into a 2. 5 keeps track of this. Because now this is 5. 15, this turns into a 5, this turns into a 15. And then I do 20. This turns into a 20, this turns into a 15. And then 4 is there. And then at the very end, it's gonna, you know, be swapping everything. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah, it does.
Alright, so that's mostly just it for this tutorial of... I'm glad I was able to make it in 23 minutes. So, if you have any questions on how to implement this, please don't ask me. I'm not gonna respond back. I'm joking, I will. So, please, you know, there's multiple millions of ways to program. If you find a specific thing that you want, then try implementing, see if it works. Always remember to use your cout. Hey, what's happening here? What's happening there? Use your breakpoints, use debugging tools. If you have errors, like, hey, syntax error, Google what syntax. Maybe you forgot a semicolon, maybe you forgot this, that. If you have some other, like, Stack Overflow or something like that. I believe, you know, out of bounds is one of them. Maybe you got out of range. A little hint, if you guys, you know, want to do this, is that you can use Topcake Trends for top 3. So basically, if you're able to solve Topcake Trends, just implement that Topcake Trends into top 3 and set the K value to 3. Because if you think about it, a for loop that has, let's say, a for loop that iterates to the number 3, what is the runtime of that? Well, the runtime is going to be constant. Now let's say a for loop that runs into, like, you know, let me Let me write it down. So for, and then I equals 0. I is less than whatever j is, and then I plus plus. So in this case, this is O of j, because we don't know what j is. But let's say we do know what j is, and let's say j is 3. Then what happens if we have what happens when we have this? Well, it's gonna be O of 1. It's constant. Now, a key thing I don't want you guys to do, that I've had several students before do, is put 1,000. I've had some students do this, and that's incorrect, because although this is theoretically constant, it takes a long time to compute in my computer, depending on how many elements you have. So you can do that. So basically, another solution for top U trans is having an outer for loop that has 3, and the nested for loop inside is just going to be e.size. So you can do that. There's millions of ways you guys can implement, and that's mostly it. Hope you guys enjoy the videos. Please hit that please hit that subscribe button and hit that video. Hit that like. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna end it right now. Take care, guys.